In the very same week that we are getting Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, we are also getting, weirdly on a Tuesday, I think it's a bit of a Japanese thing, but that's good news for me because that means I can watch it at a reasonable hour. Naoya Inoue, the monster, makes his return and first attempt at £122. He became undisputed, of course, at Bantam, last fight against Paul Butler in December of last year. A little bit of a time off here. This fight got rescheduled because of a hand injury, but luckily it's still on. Both guys, as I understand, are being paid very well, which is brilliant news for these lower weight divisions. Stephen Fulton, the American, pretty battle-tested. I think he's getting about $3 million. That is awesome, and in a way I presume is going to be getting paid a little bit more. If you ask people who is the best guy at 122 right now, before Inoue likely takes over, people would probably say Fulton, so he is going for the big fish straight away. The American is pretty battle-tested. He has edged out the likes of Brandon Figueroa. He hasn't had that many fights, but it's generally been quite quality. And I think 122 is a bit more competitive in a pound-for-pound sense than 118. You've got more capable guys here who, of course, are physically bigger. Stephen Fulton is going to have Inoue for height, width, length. He is a bigger man. We don't know what he's going to rehydrate to. And I know he's not going just to get a paycheck. He's a young guy, ambitious. There's a lot of people who are still quite doubtful of Inoue. I think they just don't like the hype that has been thrown on him, coupled with a little bit of ignorance over what he has actually achieved thus far. There are some kind of confused narratives going into this fight. We talk about Fulton as the slick American, the guy with the Philly shell. But according to CompuBox, he has been hit quite a lot in his last few fights. Now, you can put that down to facing pretty good opposition, but Inoue certainly qualifies as very good opposition, and being relatively easy to hit is not a quality you want to bring into the ring with the monster. Fulton is going to have to hope that his ability to ride with shots and his just general toughness, being bigger, logic saying you're going to be able to hold power a little bit better, he's got to hope that's going to work. I think coupled with sticking to his game plan and not being baited by Inoue, who does so much of that with his quick feet in and out, tries to get you to commit and then boom, reacts in a split second and walks you onto those counters that knocked out the likes of Jason Maloney. To some fans, the conversation of size might go a little bit over their heads because they look at these guys and they go, okay, there's not that much of a difference. Not like, say, Usyk against Joshua. But the reason it's significant is because when you're smaller, slight little differences in size, an inch here, an inch there, it makes up a bigger percentage of your overall size. Right, so I thought Inoue was a pretty modest-sized bantamweight. It's purely just through his talent that he is going to go up. What is he, 5'5.5"? He's quite a narrow build as well. He's not a wide guy. Fulton is clearly bigger. And so you never quite know how things are going to work out when you start going up against bigger guys. The reason why Inoue is going to be the favourite, and he might be quite a substantial favourite when the official odds are coming in on fight night, it's because of all the talent we've seen him display. He has got many routes to victory. And just point blank, if we're going to talk about the slickness thing, is Stephen Fulton any slicker than Inoue? Is Inoue actually the slick one in this fight? The way he can move, that piston jab of his sense of range, the speed with which he can capitalise on an opening. Isn't he actually the slicker guy in this fight who happens to have the dynamite as well? That's how I'm seeing things. And if that's the case, then Fulton's going to have to try and hope that his size advantage, the weight difference perhaps come fight night, will pay dividends. That the power isn't particularly impressive. That when they exchange, he bumps into Inoue loses his balance, he's fighting against a stronger current, and all of a sudden the complexion of a usual monster fight is changed. I think he's going to have to hope for that, because even if we reduce Inoue to 70% effectiveness of what we've seen so far, that is still enough to win, no doubt about it. And while we do, of course, have a size difference here, there is also something that Paul Butler spoke about, presence. Inoue has a particular presence in the ring. Yeah, he's somewhat of a diminutive frame, but because of the power and the speed and the precision, if he gets right in front of you and just starts goading you straight away, and you realise how quickly he can take away your advantage. If he's able to do the same thing against Fulton, he starts putting a jab out and he makes the difference in range just melt away straight away with talent, which could happen, then he's going to find his world much smaller early on, and his corner aren't going to be able to help him there. I don't think we're looking at a blowout. I can't see Fulton just only lasting a few rounds. I think he is going to commit himself, he's going to do well to a degree, before ultimately being overwhelmed. Because this is what we expect of Inoue. He's 30 now. He did lose some time with the pandemic, as I say. The John Rail Casemiro fight never happening. That was unfortunate. But the guy's still in his prime. He could have a few more years of his absolute peak still. Who knows? And in that time, we are still expecting, as things stand right now, special things. I guess at the peak of the imagination there is we see him also somehow unify or even become undisputed at featherweight, purely off the talent that we see right now. If that is the case, he is going to cut through Fulton. But what do you think of this fight? I think it's still a great fight. If Inoue were only to have one fight this year, now of course we don't want that, ideally, and probably he's going to fight later again this year. But if you're only going to fight once this year, make it a meaningful fight. This is a meaningful fight. Big kudos to Fulton. I think at the same time, he knows he's not going to be making that kind of money anywhere else, the kind of size he is. So he's kind of doing the smart thing as well in really putting himself up against it. If he manages to win, boom, a lot of things change. But I think I'm with probably 90+% of people who think Inoue is going to win. Are there any out there who are picking Fulton? I'd be interested to hear your breakdown.